What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Johnny Mac here. Just wanted to give you a heads up that if you are looking for a community that is open to discussion as far as mentorship, conservation, the wild, becoming a better person, and all of that, there is a group for you on Facebook, and it is called Soul Seekers. Soul Seekers, we are all about making ourselves a better person. We're all about making sure hunting lasts for generations to come and encouraging people to get plugged in. Whether you are someone who has something to give or someone who needs to soak it up like a sponge, this is a community for you, and I strongly encourage you that if you're on Facebook to join Soul Seekers, and if you're not on Facebook, hop on there just for that group. It is only going to be as powerful as we all make it. And so just remember that life happens for you, it doesn't happen to you, and that you can't outgive good. You can't outgive good, people. I want you to understand that, and I want you to believe it, because when we believe that and we lead with courage and we lead with intention, lives are changed, lives are transformed, just like on this podcast, transformation through primal adventure. Be blessed. Enjoy this episode. Talk soon. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Soulful Hunter Podcast. I'm your host, Johnny Mac. Through this podcast, I'm on a mission to transform lives through primal adventure and to spread my mission of mentorship as conservation. This podcast is powered by Washington Backcountry, a resource for all hunters, both new and old. To find out more about Washington Backcountry, go to wabackcountry.com or search for Washington Backcountry on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. The Soulful Hunter Podcast is also proudly presented by the Crazyelk Company. Based out of the state of Washington with products made in America, they are providing solutions with gear to problems you didn't even know you had. Their tag wallet is one of those solutions, and I had the pleasure of using it on all of my hunts this last year, and it is now a mainstay in my kill kit. The tag wallet is a water-resistant zippered pouch that comes with its own reusable zip ties to safely and securely store your notch tag for quick and easy access. For more information, go to crazyelkcompany.com and use the code SOULFUL with a capital S to save 20% at checkout. Be blessed, everyone, and as always, stay soulful. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of the Soulful Hunter Podcast. I'm your host, Johnny Mac, and today I am joined by a very special and dear to my heart guest, Ross Sharp, who is also the founder and owner of Crazyelk Company, one of the sponsors of the podcast. And you always hear at the beginning of each and every episode about how you can support the Crazyelk Company and support me and the Soulful Hunter podcast by going and checking out what gear they have at crazyelkcompany.com. And that is the tag wallet, along with a bunch of other stuff. And we're going to be talking about more gear that's on the way this coming year. Here with Ross Sharp. Ross, what's up, my man? How you doing?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing very well, very well. That's my
I
dog's
hear
barking in the background.
my dog is barking outside because he's mad that I'm inside.
I love it. This little pup, he turns 1 in the month of May. His name's Hickory, and
Is he like a labradoodle?
he is a Bernie Doodle. Bernese Mountain
Bernie.
Dog Poodle mix. Doesn't shed.
Oh,
Super loving and definitely food motivated. He loves he loves
I
to
just
eat.
I just heard actually driving when I was coming back from turkey hunting the other day that any breed mixed with a doodle right now is like the hugest fad across the United States.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
They're like the number one selling dog going on right now.
Yeah. Well, the thing is I don't know about you, but I'm not a fan of having dog hair all over me and my clothing and all that stuff. And being a school teacher, you see these students that always come to school with dog pet hair all over them, and it just kind of sad to say, it kind of grosses me out. And so I'm like, all right, well, poodles don't shed, and so there's a reason why you mix everything with a poodle, and all of a sudden,
Well, you don't want a GSP then because mine gets hair everywhere.
I know that's the biggest, hardest thing about when I started getting into hunting, and it was time to get another dog. my wife, she's like, "Yeah, do you want to get a bird dog?" And I was like, "Yeah, I'd love to get a bird dog, except I don't want to deal with bird dog hair everywhere." So, I mean,
So a good bird dog that doesn't shed was the dog I had before my GSP was a Boykin Spaniel. They're they don't shed either. At least mine never did.
huh.
Um, and they're real Boykin Spaniels are a really good all around dog.
Well, that's good to
Yeah.
know. All you listeners out there, Boykin Spaniels, are they good
Yep.
upland bird or waterfowl, or I guess
So they
what?
were bred by some guy named Boykin in South Carolina, and they were called the dog that doesn't rock the boat. And they're a water dog. They love to swim, but they are an upland bird dog too. Now the only downside, because they're a spaniel, is they have that longer hair, which come upland bird hunting. You get a lot of birds in their hair
Yep.
and stuff that you got to comb out all the time. But there is the stuff that you can put on their hair to help kind of prevent some of that stuff from sticking. But yeah, they're like, I think a male gets to be like 45 pounds, and uh, they're all liver color, and they're just really cool looking dogs, and they're super athletic, super energetic, family friendly. They'll cuddle, calm when you need them, but they'll also be just bombs out when you need them to be.
That is awesome. I'm gonna have to take a look and check them out. Speaking of upland bird, you were in the turkey woods not too long ago, a couple different times. What have you been up to?
Yeah, so um, I took some youth hunters out on the Washington Youth Hunter opener, and I thought of this last year. Last year for Crazy Elk was technically like our second year in business, and it was a pretty good year comparatively, I guess. And so I've always, my thing about Crazy Elk was Crazy Elk is not really about me. It's kind of like, yes, I'm wanting to put things out there, but I want the company to be giving back to the hunting community, you know, like your thing, mentoring. And I really like mentoring kids, one, because they listen, they don't have attitudes about it. And, it's helping grow the sport, you know, like these two I took on the Youth Hunter. I think they're going to be hooked for life because, like Gavin, I got a thank you letter from both the kids. I got a thank you letter from them. But Gavin, it was his first time ever turkey hunting. And he sends me this letter and then he signed it, Gavin, professional turkey hunter. I just thought that was a great, so I'm pretty sure it's hooked. And if you go watch my YouTube films on there, on the second one, especially because it's more centered around Gavin, you could tell by the look in his eye, the smile on his face that, he's going to be a hunter for life. Plus, I know his dad, and his dad's a hunter. So I think it's going to be, a good thing. But when I was planning the hunt last year, when I went for my slam, I got my Rio piece of property that I was invited to. And when I left there, I kind of talked to the guy about, hey, if I bring some kids, can I come back? We'll negotiate some kind of fee or whatever because he charges to access the land. And we made a deal that I could have it for the whole weekend. And I was supposed to bring three kids. Um, One kid, unfortunately, due to him uh, just doing things he shouldn't have done, slacking off in school, lying about things to his dad. His dad called me and he's like, hey, this was basically like the week we were supposed to go. He's like, hey, I'm sorry to do this, but I can't bring him. I can't justify rewarding him with this thing you're doing because it won't teach him a lesson.
Yeah.
And so he backed out. And to help me with the event, I got Eric Broughton, which is a Washington State biologist, to come, and he's also like a big turkey guru. And then I got Samong Yang to come out and help film. And then I had Steve Huskoff, who had some family stuff come up, so he only got to come out for like part of the day. And then Travis Arnott was supposed to come out, but then, as you know, Travis ended up having surgery, and just right before the event, and he had to back out, and he was pretty bummed that he missed it. But Yeah, it was a great hunt. They had two tags each to fill. They only filled one. They actually both had second opportunities, but it just didn't work out. One didn't take a shot because he didn't feel comfortable, and the second he just plain missed his
Oh,
you know
yeah.
his bird.
Watching the film, you guys got on a lot of birds for that.
Yeah, and it was tricky too because that beginning of the season, they're still kind of henned up and talk, and I think it had to do with the wind. Maybe we couldn't hear them, but there really wasn't a lot of talking. I want to say, in the 2.5 days we were there, I heard three gobbles, and that was it. And they birds came in silent. We could call, they could hear us, but they basically came in silent. Like if you go watch the films, you can see the most gobbling we ever heard was um, Zane in the group of birds that Zane was in, and he didn't even gobble until all those other jakes started beating up the decoy.
Mm,
Like he didn't gobble the whole time coming in. His first gobble was once they got to the decoy and the jake started ganging up on the decoy. That's when he gobbled.
yeah. Wild. Wild. Well, so how'd the kids enjoy it? Were they like blown away? Did they feel the spring thunder in their laps? Did they walk away with like big eyes being like, "Holy smokes, I can't believe I just experienced that."
I think, well, in their letters that they wrote us, they were very awestruck by it. I don't think they didn't get the full grasp of turkey hunting because of the lack of talking from the, no gobbles and stuff. Um, but they saw lots of birds. I would say, in the 2.5 days we were there, they saw at least 2 dozen birds. So
Wow.
yeah,
Well,
yeah.
that's more turkeys than I saw last year when I was turkey hunting. I'm still waiting for that spring thunder to walk into my lap.
Yeah,
I was gonna go round two with Travis for opening weekend, but between his surgery and my time off, I needed to save my time off because I'm going over to Idaho for spring bear this year with initial
got it.
ascent backpacks, and it's gonna be a heck of a time.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
Yep. So it's officially my first out of state hunt.
Yeah, cool. Yeah,
So it was time to branch out. I always thought when I first got into hunting, I was like, I don't want to hunt out of state because I want to learn how to hunt in the state that I live in. And then,
right.
you kind of you get a feel for it, and it's like, okay, it's time to branch out. Now, for example, I have yet to kill a mule deer, so that is on my bucket list now of
Yeah,
an animal that I gotta accomplish. But
right.
so you went out, you did some spring turkey hunting with some kiddos, had a great time. I love that the mentorship, the giving back, the community. That's all beautiful. You also had an opportunity yourself.
Oh man, I've been keeping me awake ever since. Yeah. So here for the regular season, it opened April 15th, and I went out there the first morning. This place I went to, I was kind of like at the bottom of a valley, and I wanted to get to the top before it got light. But and I looked at the weather report on my way in there, and it was supposed to be clear, no rain, not until like 4 o'clock at night. Well, as soon as I turned down the road to get to where I'm supposed to be at, which is like another 10 miles in, it starts pouring. And it poured the whole drive to where I wanted to get out. And when I got out there, there was a truck in front of me. He wasn't there, but I mean, it was coming down, and I'm like, oh man, should I just, you know, brave it and go out? But I sat there for probably 20 minutes and it eventually stopped. And that's when I, started going. Anyway, I was going up the valley, and if I wouldn't have sat in my truck, I probably would have been at the top, right where that bird was roosting, because I all the way up, I heard this gobbler just going crazy. And when you're in the turkey woods, like when they first kind of wake up and start talking, they'll gobble once every 10 minutes, 15 minutes, or whatever. But when it gets closer to them jumping off the roost, they talk a lot more. And then usually when they land for the first couple of minutes, they'll be quiet. And I was getting pretty close to him but I could tell that he was going to leave the tree soon because he went on for like a minute nonstop. And I'm like, oh man, he's going to jump. And all of a sudden it went quiet, but I could still kind of hear some, other birds talking. And um, I decided to sit there for a second and I tried some calling just to see if he would, come down to me. And after about 45 minutes, nothing was happening. And I could hear him gobbling, and it sounded like he was on a road that was above me and he was going away. So I hightailed it to this trail I know, and I was going to come around because it kind of shortcutted these two roads. And as I was coming up to that road, all of a sudden there he was gobbling like crazy. I'm like, oh man, he's right there. So I throw myself on the side of the road, and I can see him coming. And if you don't know, because obviously you don't have glasses like I do, unfortunately, when you've been hightailing it, sweating your butt off, in a frigid cold, and all of a sudden you stop, your glasses fog up. So here I am, this gobbler. I can see him through the fog in my glasses, right? But I can't see my bead to see if I'm actually lined up with him. And he was like 40 yards. And so, and I didn't have time to cover my hands. I was using the mittens, the fingerless mittens, but they had the flip top that cover your hand.
Yep.
So my fingers were exposed, right? So I'm like, oh man, he's right there. What am I going to do? So I just kind of took my thumb from my trigger hand, and I took my thumb and I tried to pull down my glasses. Well, he saw that motion and turned and hauled off the other side, and flew across the canyon. And I was like, oh man. So yeah, and that was right, like 7:10 in the morning or whatever. I could have had my Eastern, which is, as you know, the hardest one to get for the Washington Slam, which I'm not officially going for, but I'm still gonna see what happens.
Yeah.
You know, I've committed my help to too many people this season that I don't know if it'll actually happen for myself, but at least I'll have fun trying.
Man, you got right up on it. And yeah, were you just kicking the dirt thinking, I should have wore contacts?
Well, I've had this discussion with my wife before, and my eyes, they say, because they keep constantly changing, like every year, when because through my work, I get three free glasses and I get free eye tests. So every year they change all the time. So, and they say if your prescription is changing all the time, you're not really a candidate. Well, at least that's what I've been told. But now I hear like there's this RLE, which is maybe a little different. But, was it 2 years ago when I was in Montana and I shot that big buck? I had the same problem with my glasses. They kept fogging up, and I literally took my glasses off and threw them so I could look through the scope to shoot him.
Yeah.
And so it's always been in the back of my mind since then that I need to do something. And people have told me, hey, you need to rub this on your glasses. It'll help them defog. But I've done that, and it still fog up.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
What is that product called? Cat crap or something like that?
No, this one was called like fog, glass fog. I don't know, something like that. But
Oh. So, but the story of it goes is
there's
that
like a little moist towelette that you're supposed to rub on your glasses.
gotcha. But the issue is though, Ross, is that you're shooting a shotgun. So you don't have to be dead on to still hit it. So was a part of you like, should I just shot because
That crossed my mind. I'm like, okay, I know the bird is in that vicinity. My gun is facing that way. I should just pull the trigger. But I could not bring myself to do it. I wanted to have a clear, yes, I am perfectly straight on that bird. You know,
I love it. Well, ethically speaking, yeah, you did the right thing. Well done.
well, later on that night, so I went and hiked according to the Onyx. I hiked like 17 miles that day, and on my way back, because I was coming back to the truck, I heard a bird gobble again, and it was in the exact same spot that I busted that bird that morning. And I'm like, oh, he's coming back. And it was like 4:30 in the evening. So I just put a deke out right in the middle of the road, and I got to the side, and I sat there and did some calling. And he gobbled one more time, and then he went silent. I'm like, oh, he's coming in. He must see the decoy. Well, I sat there for 3 hours and never saw him. No clue where he went. And I was like 2.5 hours from my truck. And I'm like, well, it's going to be dark soon. I'll probably run into a bird on my way to the truck. Who knows? So I started moving and I got to this spot where the edge of the road overlooks this big clear cut. And once I got to that top, he actually was on his way up,
Oh,
probably for the evening roost, because it was like 7 o'clock.
yeah.
And yeah, he was like 50 yards from the road and he saw me and he glided across the canyon again. And I was like, man, if I just could have sat down for probably 20 more minutes, he probably would have came up and I would have had a shot at him.
Yeah, but that's the
But
whole. You just got done saying you sat there for 3 hours. Like,
yeah,
I don't know. This is what blows me away about turkey hunting. Is I love hunting in all regards. But that's a long time to sit still on something that has really good eyesight.
yeah, it is. But I've read some books and I've listened to some other, turkey podcasts and stuff. And I don't remember which podcast it was on, but they talked to this one biologist. And in this one area, I want to say it was in Missouri, they they put tracking devices on hunters, and they also had birds that had tracking devices on them in this one area of woods. And no matter where those hunters went, and I'm guessing like when they got to a spot and called, they pushed a button and it marked that they called from there, right? Every single place that those guys called from, it might not have been when they were standing there, but at some time during that day, those birds came through exactly where they were calling from.
Yeah, I've heard that before.
So,
So how long do you
you
sit?
yes, exactly. Especially like when I heard him in that evening, he was only like 200 yards away. And I thought, okay, he's just taking his time. And, then it got towards evening. And I'm like, well, what am I going to do? I'm like, well, I know he's here. The tree he roosted in is behind me. I'm just going to sit here and hope that he comes back to this tree. And that's when I sat there. And if I would have sat there, like I said, for 15, 20 more minutes, I probably would have seen him.
Wow.
But I got plenty of time. I'm going out this weekend. I'm going to film a friend of mine. Um, is actually one of the youth hunters' dads. I'm going to film him this weekend, and if he can get his bird, then I'll probably try to get a Merriam. And then I'm taking a pro staffer who's never shot a turkey next weekend, and then I got a couple weeks. Well, except for that Mother's Day weekend, I have a couple weeks to try to do something for myself, and then I'm going with a bunch of other guys to film like the middle of the month. And then unfortunately that last weekend of May, even though it's still open for hunting, I promised my wife we'd go camping with friends. So
Yeah,
we'll see.
camping with a shotgun.
Yeah. We're actually not going to be in a place where there's birds, but yeah,
Well, you
unfortunately.
might need to change that.
I'll see if I can talk her into it. You know how that goes.
Oh yeah, no, you got to make sure you put in the time with the wife. You gotta take care of the ones that take care of you. Um,
Yep.
so so Ross, you're 2 years in to the Crazy Elk Company. You started with a tag wallet. That was like
Yep.
this beautiful idea that you had, and specifically for the state of Washington, because we're still running paper uh, tags that are not sticky, that are not folding over and
Right.
sticking to itself.
Right.
Um, what, just for listeners' sake who have not heard uh, Crazy Elk enough of the tag wallet, what is the tag wallet?
So the tag wallet was something that was made out of necessity, basically because I got tired of losing a tag, or if I got checked, you have to tape and untape. So I just kind of came up with this pouch. A zippered pouch is a water resistant pouch. I mean, it's not waterproof. Um, I didn't think that would be feasible, so I went with water resistant. But yeah, it's just a ripstop nylon watered pouch. It has a zipper on the top, and it has two gross grain ribbons on the side that you can use these reusable zip ties that we give you. We give you two sets, one for deer, one for elk. Um, and it's basically when you get your animal, on any state that you still can use paper like Washington. Now I know Montana this year went to like a hybrid system where you can use an e-take system or paper. It's up to you, but they still do use paper. Idaho still uses paper. Yeah, you just put your tag in there, and then once you secure it to your antler or your quarter or whatever you want to secure it to, if you ever do get checked, it's just really easy. It's just a zipper, and you just take the paper out and you show whoever you need to show.
Yeah.
You know,
I also
um,
found it being extremely handy for taxidermy because the very
yes,
first time I took an animal in for taxidermy, they're like, "Well, where's your tag?" I'm like, "Oh, well, it's attached to the quarter, or it's
right.
whatever it is, or you don't want to untape it because when you're at the taxidermist, you're not necessarily ready to tape it back on or whatever." So I loved it for that fact. That was huge.
Yeah, I had Matt from Mountain Ambush. He was doing a thing with Black Rifle Coffee Company in Montana, and they had a game warden come, and he saw it on the animal, and he's like, "What is that?" And he's like, "Oh, this is called the tag wallet." And the game warden was like, "That is," he loved it. He's like, "Man, I wish everybody had those. It'd be so much easier to sit here and wait for them to untape something." And
Right.
but he was like, I'm like, "Well, you need to get that guy's number so I can like put him in a video to endorse the tag wallet."
It
Approved by game warden.
There we go. Game warden approved. I love it.
Yeah.
Okay, so you also created what is it? The clear one? It's for the E system?
Yeah, that's for the e-tag. Like so Oregon had it, and there's a couple other states that have it. Like I said, Montana has it now, where even though they have an app that you need to report your game on, you still need a paper tag on the animal. So a lot of guys, like mine is it's just like a sealable plastic pouch, and I made these business cards that it has, all the information that you would need for whatever state you're going to be in. You just write it on that card, put it on there, and attach it to your animal just like you would a tag wallet. Yeah.
Beautiful.
So that's basically the e-tag, and then I also had I made those reed holder hats last year, which I have new ones this year coming out with. I kind of signed a deal with Kuyu, so I have some Kuyu hats that have the reed holder in them. Yeah.
Beautiful. And then you just put up on the website not too long ago, you have a new kill kit pouch.
Yes, I have a kill kit. It's 10 inches long, 5 inches wide. It'll hold quite a bit of stuff, and we're gonna sell them in. You can buy the bag only, or you can have it Crazy Elk customized, which basically is going to come with two game bags. One is going to be a quarter bag. One is going to be a meat bag, and those I um, signed a deal with 6 a.m. Outdoors. So I'm using his game bags, and then it's going to come with 60 feet of 550 paracord. It's also going to come with a whole roll of surveying tape, and then it also has these eco-friendly latex gloves for guys who like gloves. They come in a little pouch, they're decomposable, and then it also comes with these paper towel tablets. I don't know if you've seen these. They look like a big pill, but all you do is pull a little water on them, and all of a sudden you have a towel. So like if you want to clean up after the kill, you can just use this paper towel, and it also breaks down because it's also eco-friendly. Or like some guys after you know kill your animal and you want to clean up some blood, so you can have a nice pretty picture rather than have all this blood everywhere. You can use these little tablets, and then also it'll come with a tag wallet, and it wouldn't be Crazy Elk if you didn't have a celebratory drink. So it's coming with a flask as well.
I love it. Cheers, my friend. Cheers to you
Yes, cheers.
and everything that you got going on. So the kill kit pouch, that is you're pre-stocking it with a lot of what you would consider to be essential to a kill kit. What do you keep in your kill kit, Ross?
Uh, well, I'm not giving you a knife to put in there because I just couldn't afford buying a bunch of knives. But like in my kill kit, I basically have, some kind of paracord or rope, just in case you're in a place that you need to like tie a leg. If you're by yourself, sometimes you need tie a leg to a tree, or if it's in a place that it might fall, you want to secure it, a little bit better while you're working on the animal. Um, I really don't use gloves myself. I don't really care if my hands get bloody. I actually kind of like the smell of it when I'm hiking out of the woods, just because it reminds me what I just did.
Yep.
Um, and I've been criticized eating dinner with bloody hands, but I'm like, whatever, it is what it is. Uh, and then, the paper towels come in handy, like I said, if you for pictures. Um, and then the game bags, obviously, everybody needs game bags. And I wasn't gonna, I've had people ask me if I'm gonna make game bags, and it might be in the works, but the game bag to me is kind of saturated market. So if you're gonna have something, you better have something that is really noteworthy.
Yeah.
So I've been kind of I have a guy who says he has something that I could do. So we'll see. I'm going to meet him this summer and we'll go through that. But until then, I went with the 6 a.m. game bags because they're pretty good game bags. And I've known Tristan for a while. He used to live not too far from me until he moved to Montana. And I always like helping the small guy and people I know and things like that. Build relationships.
Yeah,
So
absolutely. Well, that and he's not so small. He's a pretty tall dude.
yeah, he is. Yeah, he is pretty tall. He's skinny though. He doesn't have my girth, but yeah, no, he's a good guy.
I love it.
He's helped me with an idea that I've talked to you about. Um, my tent idea. He's kind of given me some advice on that, which I'm still working on, by the way. But um, and my other product that I've told you about, I'm hoping will be here in a month. That's like been my baby since the beginning. Besides the tag wallet, that's been like my number two project to get going. And COVID, for guys like me who, when I started the company, I was not going to take money from anybody. I was going to do this on my own dime. I was not going to take money away from my family to do this, and I was just going to build my company with my own money. And that has proven under the year of COVID to be difficult, because a lot of companies, like when you give them something and say, hey, can you manufacture this for me, they're like, oh sure, I can make that, but you need to meet our minimum required of 5,000 units. Well, I don't have that kind of money, so I shop around, and I'm not going to go overseas. I've been offered to go overseas, I just don't want to do it. So if it takes me longer to get it done in the way I want it, then so be it. But um, yeah, I found a person to make. I'm just gonna go HS, just so you know what I'm talking about. But yeah, hopefully I'll have it here in about a month and a half or so.
I love it. I love it. Well, let's just real quick question, shooting from the hip here. How many game bags do you carry when you're hunting?
In my bag,
Yeah, how many
or
how many game bags is standard for the Crazy Elk Man?
so it depends. It depends on what I'm doing. Like if I'm deer hunting, I'll carry two. Um, if I'm elk hunting, I actually only carry two. But the reason that is because I have other crap in my pack. And usually when I'm elk hunting, like I've hunted with these guys I've hunted with for a long time. We have a base camp, and we're, like I have my Zolio. So if I get an animal down, I can say, animal down, grab the stuff, and we have all the boxes and stuff at camp, and then they all bring what we need, you
Mm,
know.
interesting.
So I only carry the minimum with me. Now, if I'm going to go on a backpack hunt, I would probably maybe bring four, but most like for elk hunting, the way we do it, is basically we have a big base camp and we hunt out of there every day, and put in 10 plus miles a day.
Yeah. I l-
And
I,
then,
I like to carry a minimum of 5 with me. Um
wow.
I know it sounds wow is right. Now it's really when you told me 2, I was like, wow. I like to go 1 for each quarter. and one for loose meat.
Yeah.
All my burger, I throw it in. Um, but that's also because I'm usually hunting in a crew, and
Right.
it's easier to, be like, "Hey, here, take this shoulder or take this rear ham or whatever," if
Right.
they're in separate bags rather than sharing bags. Is that
Right.
what caused you to go wow when I told you that?
I don't know. I mean, I don't get nosy to find out what other people have in their pack really, but I mean, I don't know. Um, for me, elk hunting is usually late October, early November, right? So it's cold
Yep.
for the most part. There's not really flies or anything like that. So, and usually we get it so far from the road, we don't really get the elk out in a day. It's sometimes a 2 day thing, but it's so cold enough I can just tie it in a tree and I don't really need to worry about a bag. Like
Gotcha.
I can understand if you're an archery guy and you want to protect your meat and stuff like that, but when it's that late in the season, I don't, I haven't worried about it. So
Yeah.
yeah, just tie the quarter up in a tree and then come back the next day with your bag to
Well,
take it up.
based off of all the skulls and the antlers on your back wall, I'm gonna take that advice and run with it because it's obviously working for you.
I'm not an expert. I'll tell you right now. My camp has we have a I nicknamed us kind of a while ago. I'm kind of like the killer, and then I have a friend who's really good at butchering, right? So he has like all that butchering skill, and then um, the other guy I called him a little bit more laid back. He's always there to help, but
He's there for a
you know,
good time.
right? Exactly. Yeah, yeah.
That's awesome. So what do you got planned for this coming year? What's on the
Well,
horizon? I know you've traditionally always hunted the Blue Mountains for elk, um, but those have been under attack lately with predator management and all sorts of different things going on in the
uh,
state of
it's
Washington.
horrible. So I have tried to convince my friends that because they still have bull tags down there, even though the elk herd in the blues is really struggling. I'm actually surprised when I saw the regs come out online the other day with that study they did last year where they collared like 128 calves and 121 of them were dead before September, which would lead me to believe out of the 8 left, how many of those did they lose before December? Or how many are even still alive? I have no idea. Maybe none of them. So if all those calves are dead and they're going to have a general season, which the general season there is a spike only, if you don't have a calf recruitment for next fall, how are you going to have a season? But the state's greedy. They'll take people's money. They'll say, yeah, go trample through the woods because there's nothing there anyway. So we're not worried about you killing anything, which is for me trying to convince my friends, hey, yes, we still have bull tags. They're allocating bull tags. The chances of getting drawn are pretty slim because they only have 3 that they're giving out, and 1,800 people apply for the dang thing. So if we don't draw a bull tag, let's go to another unit. I know a unit. It's not that far away. I can do the homework. I have friends that live there. Let's do that. The success rate there and the chance of even seeing animals is way better than what the blues is now. Back in the day, the blues was awesome. But my friends love them to death, love hanging out with them. They're sticklers for tradition. They like going to places that they know it's like a security blanket. And for them, this is where I kind of have an internal battle. For them, they're only really elk hunters. They don't deer hunt, they don't turkey hunt, they don't bird hunt. Elk hunting is their thing. That's all they do. And so this is their thing. This is their vacation. This is their freedom. And so trying to convince them to go somewhere else is kind of hard. But I think they've seen the line in the sand. And if nobody draws a big bull tag, I think I can convince them to go closer to home.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. That is my Washington elk hunt. Um, I drew a multi-season deer tag today. Results came out today, so I'm deliberating what I'm going to do with that. I did draw Montana, so I'm going to Montana for sure, and hopefully put another big buck on the wall. Um, and other than that, I'll wait to see if I draw, a state moose tag or goat tag or sheep tag. I got to get drawn at some point. I mean, I'm max points in all the categories, so
Right.
it's got to happen someday, right? I mean,
I told Tony Two Shot, I was like, dude, I'm drawing a moose tag sooner than later in the state of Washington. So I did not put in for multi-season, although Iron Will, he drew multi-season deer, but I got a feeling that I'm gonna draw a special tag in the state of Washington before too long. It just something about it just feels like I need to. I'm gonna manifest it, just like
you got the
speak it into
good juju
existence.
going on.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah.
So, you went down to the Western Hunt Expo. I got to see you there. That was your
Yeah.
first time to the Western Hunt Expo. Isn't that
Yeah.
place just absolutely incredible?
It it's overwhelming. You know, my friends told me like, "Oh yeah, you need like 3 days minimum to go there." And I'm like, "It's just a sports show. What are you talking about?" Like the one I go to here in Western Washington, you can do that in a day. It's no big deal. But no, I mean, there's just so many big companies there and it's so big. You really do. I mean, you could walk the whole thing in a day, obviously, but you're really not diving into anything and you're really not um you know, if you want to meet people and make contacts and stuff like that, you definitely need more than 2 days for sure.
I was
So
there.
it was
Yeah, I was there Thursday through Sunday, and I still didn't even get to see all the booths that I wanted to see. I was like,
yeah.
oh
Well,
man.
I saw you Friday morning, and you said you were a little. You had a little bit too much the night before. Is that what it was?
I had a great night the night before. There there was one of my, most favorite, bourbons was at a at a local watering hole, and it's a top shelf, Colonel E.H. Taylor single barrel, and
Yeah.
there wasn't much left in the bottle, but, after being on your feet all day and not really drinking a whole lot of water, and it's not like you go
Right.
sit down for dinner, everything's on the go. um,
Right.
I I grabbed. I was like, I'm gonna celebrate. I'm here at the Hunt Expo, and we are giving a talk, a seminar on black bear hunting. I'm gonna go for
Right.
that top shelf there, and I'm gonna celebrate. And then I realized it was only $12 a pour rather than what I was expecting, more like 40. And so
Right.
I asked if they had a second bottle, but they didn't. So needless to say,
Oh,
it was a wonderful evening. But yeah, I stayed up way later than I should have that night.
yeah. I met some guys down there through some other friends of mine. Like I hung out with John Porter
Yep.
for like 2 days when I was there. Man, that guy, he's you could just sit there and listen to him. He is like a dictionary. He just knows so much stuff. And he invited me to come down and do a shooting training thing with him, but it ended up being on a time. I have a family planned vacation, which I'm hoping I can reschedule for another time. But yeah, we had a little bit of a celebratory night one night, and yeah, the next morning I was kind of feeling the same. You know,
Well,
on
talking
on
of,
top of the fact that I had pneumonia when I was there,
yeah,
right?
that'll get
So it was kind of a dual,
yeah.
whatever you want to call
You
it.
got kicked in the chest and you got kicked in the head. It was a bad
Yeah,
combo.
yeah.
One of the cool things that originated for me this year going to the Hunt Expo is I am going to be chasing elk in the state of Utah this year.
Oh, I'm hunting there next year.
Are you? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. So we'll be talking on this one. Um, I didn't realize like you can get over the counter um, spike tags or cow tags pretty easy. And then there's always the
Yeah.
potential to draw a big bull tag as well. So starting to build my points up down there. And you actually, if you go to the Hunt Expo, have a better chance at drawing a bull tag for Utah than residents do just general every year. And I was like,
Oh,
huh,
really?
I found that to be pretty fascinating. And all you listeners, if you're going to double check that, I'm pretty accurate on that, but I might be wrong. But yeah, so I'll be heading down there end of August, beginning of September. Haven't dialed in the exact dates yet, but that is going to be a great time. Going to go chase the bugling bulls and see what we can do.
Yeah, I'm gonna be. My hunt is I want to say mid-October hunt when I go, and I was invited by the Lone Ridge Outfitters down there. Um, and to my knowledge, it's the unit that there is the draw units that he has, but he also has an over-the-counter tag, which was intriguing to me. So yeah, me and a friend are going to go down there. Not this year. We wanted to go down there this year, but he was booked, kind of in celebratory for our 50th birthdays. But we're going to go next year instead.
There you go. I am going to be hitting 40, the 40th, not in 2 years. And I'm planning on going to Alaska for moose. That is like my goal. Um, so we'll see. You and I will be sharing some stories here in the near future about some epic hunts, huh?
Yeah, well, if it's 2 years from now, maybe I'll go with you.
Ooh, there we go. I love it. I love it. That'd be awesome. So Ross, what else is on the horizon for you before we wrap this bad boy up?
I'm just continuing to, come up with new ideas. I have a few of them, but like I said, I have to make some decisions if I'm going to continue to grow slowly or if I want to try to, take a bank loan or try to get some investors and be able to, because money talks. And if you have the money, you can kind of push through some things and get things done quicker. Um, I just got to find out if it's going to be worth it or not. So yeah, I have some soul searching to do if I'm going to break from my main strategy.
Yeah. All
Yeah.
right. Well, in the meantime, everybody, when are you going to have those kill kit pouches ready to rock and roll on the website?
So the kill kit bag only is ready to go right now. I am waiting for the game bags to get here from 6 a.m. Outdoors, and once they get here, um, they'll be ready. So they'll probably be here in the next couple weeks.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So, all you listeners, go to crazyelkcompany.com and go check out, get yourself a tag wallet if you haven't picked one up for spring turkey season, or hopefully spring bear season if you're going to be hunting. Also,
Yeah.
um,
Get get yourself a new shirt.
yeah, I love that. That's a great looking sweatshirt you got there.
Well, this one isn't on the site yet. I actually made this one. It's called Ginger. Um, it's like a mustard color shirt, and I bought it just for my pro staff. But like the pro staff's been wearing it, and I've been wearing it, and all these people have been saying, "Hey, man, where can I get that shirt?" So I'm probably going to do a pre-sale on these. But the shirts I have on the site, I think you saw it was it's kind of like in the shape of the national park sign.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah, and then it says Crazy Elk, and it doesn't. A lot of people, if you look at it really quick, it looks like it says wilderness, but it actually says wilderness
Yeah.
because we like it. The wilder, the better.
That's right. I love it. I love it. Well, guys, thank you for tuning into this episode. Thank you, Ross, for coming on and joining me for another one. Thank you for supporting the podcast. I really appreciate it. Guys, if you have not gone to crazyelkcompany.com and snagged yourself a tag wallet or any of their sweet merch and get yourself a kill kit pouch, but be on the lookout for when those completed kill kit pouches are on the site. And if you ever need any turkey help, this guy Ross, he's a humble man, but he officially got his pin not too long ago for the Washington State Turkey Slam that he accomplished this last year here, and just some great stuff. Ross, thank you so much for coming on. I really appreciate it.
Hey, thanks for having me, man. I love talking with you.
Yeah, it's such a good time. All right, everybody, go check out Crazy Elk. Give them a follow on social media. Go subscribe to Ross's YouTube channel. It is how do you find your YouTube channel?
So you got to put in the Crazy Elk, and Crazy Elk has to be one word, company, and it should pop up. Like sometimes when you go in the search, you're punching it in, the computer automatically wants to divide crazy and elk, but you got to make sure that they're one word. And then, I've been trying to build the channel, and, I haven't had any luck. So I'm going to start with the company. And then, if I get lucky, I'll get the elk. And then, I said when I got this the Camp Chef stove, the their version of like the MSR reactor type thing.
Yep.
So we have one of those. Once we reach 300 subscribers, we're giving that away to one of the subscribers, and then when we climb, we're going to be giving out a Seek Outside tent when we hit another number, and then even a bigger prize once we get to 1,000. Because the goal is 1,000.
There you go. There you
You know?
go. Slowly but suddenly. I love it.
Yes.
Slowly and
Yeah.
suddenly. Well, guys, go subscribe to the YouTube channel. Help out local company. Ross, absolute pleasure. Always a good time. Everybody, good luck this coming seasons in the springtime, whether you're chasing elk, bear, mushrooms, or whatever it is that you're after. Maybe even the brown gold. And go pick up a tag wallet, support your local companies. Remember that you can never outgive good, and mentorship is conservation. Freedom on, everybody. Thank you for tuning in. I'm Johnny Mack. Be blessed and stay soulful. If you enjoyed today's podcast, I'd love it if you could go ahead and give this a rating as well as subscribe. Also, you can check us out on Instagram under the Soulful Hunter Podcast. Make sure to tag us in pictures and posts and use the hashtag Soulful Hunter. To find out more about the Soulful Hunter Podcast, go to soulfulhunter.com and be sure to follow the podcast, as we are going to be bringing you a lot of great information, insight, and changing lives through primal adventure. I look forward to connecting with you on the next episode. Stay tuned and stay soulful.